morning, all of you. Now, today we will start a new chapter in civics, role of the parliament. Have you heard the name of parliament before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what do you know about the parliament? Anything that you know about it? Yes, HC. What have you heard about the parliament? What do you know about it? In your own words, whatever you know. What is it? What does it comprise of, or what is it constitute of? Anything that you know about the parliament?
Ma'am, the central legislature.
Okay, it is the central legislative body. Good. So, what does it do as legislative body?
Mm, Ma'am, make laws.
All right. So, it makes laws. So, Parliament is also said to be the highest law making body of the country. It is at the central level, the union level, and hence it is called the highest law making body of a country. What does it comprise of? What does it is made of?
Ma'am, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, upper house and lower house.
Okay, so the parliament, it constitutes of two houses of the parliament, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so we'll come back to that later, and now let's start the chapter. Now we know that India, it won its independence in on 15th August 1947, and that was after a very long and painful and bloody fight against the British rule. And in that national struggle, people from all regions, all religions, all classes and castes, they came together and fought against the Britishers to drive the Britishers out of the country. And while they were fighting this struggle, they were inspired by the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. What is liberty? Yes, HC? Liberty. What does liberty means? Is Yashmit there in the class?
Ma'am, ma'am, freedom.
Okay, yes, right. Liberty means freedom. So it means where we have freedom for the individual and freedom for certain rights also. Okay, equality. What is equality?
Every person is same and has the equal rights before
Or,
God.
okay, so treating everyone equal. And then what is fraternity? Fraternity. Okay, so fraternity is the feeling of brotherhood that we have with the citizens living in the same country. And so while the Indians, they were fighting this war of independence, they were inspired by the ideals of liberty, freedom, equality for all, and fraternity. Now the Indian National Congress, that was the body or the organization which led this whole freedom struggle. And the decisions that they took on the way were on the basis of majority of opinion, and they were not on the basis of some granting special favors or privileges to any one group of people. So while they took the decisions, they were not showing partiality or favor to any particular religion or class of people. Now after the National Indian National Congress, it was established in 1885. After that, the nationalists, means people who had this love for the nation and wanted their country to be united together, and wanting to drive the Britishers away from a country. And so after the formation of the Indian National Congress, the nationalists, they started to openly criticize the British government for their exploitative policies and programs. Okay, and now the first session of the Congress was held in December 1885, and the Congress, they started to demand that there should be elected members, elected members in the legislature. Why? Because before that there used to be selected members, the British government, they used to decide who all would be a part of the legislative body. So after the when the first session of the Congress was presented in December 1885, after that the Congress, they started to demand that they should have this legislative bodies which were elected and not selected. Now the Indian Councils Act of 1861, it introduced these representative legislatures for the first time, and it also gave Indians the task of legislative work, means the task of making laws. Then by the Indian Council Act of 1892, the principle of election was constituted or acceded, because before that, like I told you, the members were not elected, they were selected. So by the Indian Councils Act of 1892, the principle of election was approved or accepted, and this had led to the foundation of the parliamentary form of government in India. And then the Government of India Act of 1909 provided for the enlargement, means the legislative assemblies at both the central level as well as at the provincial level. At that time, the states were called provinces, so the legislative councils or the legislative assemblies at both the center and the state, they were enlarged. What that means is more number of members were inducted in them. Then the members were also given the permission to discuss the matters related to budget also. Then the Act of 1919, it introduced the system of diarchy in the provinces. Now what was the system of diarchy? You know, we have three lists. We have the union list, the state list and the concurrent list, and in these three lists, the various subjects on which laws and policies have to be made are divided. Now in the union list, the subjects which are of national importance like defense and taxes and means not all, but then which relate to the all India basis, then trading, banking and all, the subjects which are there, only the union government makes laws on that. Then the subjects which are in the state list, which concern a particular state, now that can be trade of that particular state or agriculture and everything pertaining to that particular state, only the state government has permission to make laws. And the concurrent list, both the state government and the central government can make laws on those subjects. Now those could be related to health and education and marriage and divorce and everything. Now diarchy meant that at that time the state subjects, because it was introduced at the provincial level, so the state subjects or the provincial subjects were divided into two, and all matters of importance like finances and police, they went under the control of the governor, means the Britishers, but the welfare states like education and public health and all, it came under the control of the Indians. Now Indians were obviously not happy with that, because you know, without money and finances you cannot do much, even if you want to do anything in the field of education or public welfare, but the people, they did not have money, the finances and the police were in the hand of the Britishers. So by the Act of 1919, diarchy was introduced in the provinces. Then the Act of 1935, it introduced a bicameral legislature. What is bicameral? Anyone here knows what is bicameral? Ever heard bicameral, unicameral? Yes, class 8C? You don't know? At least respond yes ma'am, no ma'am. Okay. Bicameral means having two houses. Having two houses. Like at the center we have both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Right? We have. And at our state level also, UP, we have the Legislative Assembly as well as the Legislative Council. Okay. So that is what it means. Having just one house, that is unicameral, and having two houses, that means bicameral. So by the Act of 1935, bicameral legislature was introduced at the center, and this was termed as, this Government of India Act of 1935 is also sometimes termed as mini constitutions. Why? Because many provisions from this particular act has been constituted or included in our constitution. Means when we got independence, many things from this Government of India Act of 1935 have been incorporated in our new constitution. Now this struggle and the sacrifice, by the masses, because it was not only the elites or the rich people or one particular section or one particular religion, they participated in the freedom struggle, but the people, the common people, the masses, they also participated in the freedom struggle, and they also sacrificed so much. So because of their sacrifice and struggle, the nationalists, they were convinced that the people also, the common people also, should be involved in making decisions for the country, and that they should also be given some power and opportunity in independent India. And then the government also had to be sensitive to the needs of the people, to the demands and aspirations of the people. What are aspirations? Sometimes we ask people, what do you aspire to be? What are aspirations?
Ma'am, chahat in Hindi, chahat.
All right, so what you want? All right, sometimes it can be linked to like what is your goal or ambition in life. Okay, so the government which is formed, now it should be sensitive to the needs, demands and aspiration of the people, and the nationalists thought that this won't be possible till the time the people were empowered, or they were given power to elect their own representatives. And therefore the Constitution of India, it has accepted the principle of universal adult franchise. Universal adult franchise, do you know what does that mean? Ever heard this term before?
Every citizen,
Okay, yes, yes,
every
yes,
citizen
yes, Wahib.
after the age of 18 can choose their representatives.
Okay, so that means all the adult population of a country, that means 18 years or above, irrespective of any difference that they may have on the basis of region, religion, color, caste, social status, all adult population are free to vote, all right, or all have equal voting rights. Now when they started to think about whether this voting rights should be offered to all adult population, now what that meant was that you increase the people who are giving to vote from 35 million to 170 million. Now that was a very huge task at that time, and so there were long debates in the parliament among the members of the constituent assembly as to whether to include all adult population or keep the voting right restricted to some people. Like Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, he thought that this should be deferred, means this universal adult franchise should be postponed by 15 years, means after 15 years this right should be given to the people, but at that time it should remain limited to some. But Rajendra Prasad and Jawaharlal Nehru, they were all in favor of universal adult franchise, because they thought that it was an act of faith, putting faith in the common man. And so this vote to accept the universal adult franchise, it was approved with enthusiasm in the Constituent Assembly. You know why? Because the basic and the central idea of democracy is that power, it flows from the people, because democracy it is taken from the Greek term demokratia, root Greek word, and it means basically rule of the people. So if it is rule of the people, then power should flow from the people, and the government, its agencies, institutions, they should all have the trust and goodwill, welfare of the people or the common citizens. And then it also means that all decisions should be taken by the citizens, and this is the most important feature of democracy, that the government, it should have the approval of the people and also the participation of the people. Now people's consent, their approval and their wish, it should be reflected in a democracy, or in a democratic country. Now what that means in simple words is, when we talk about universal adult franchise, now what that means is that all adult population, they have a say in selecting their rulers, and also in policy making. But in big countries like India, it is not possible that all adult population should come together, sit at one place and take decisions and discuss and deliberate, because physically also it is not possible that you seat all the adult population of the country together. Is it possible? What do you think? Yes, class, what do you think? Is it possible to
No,
make?
ma'am.
All right. So,
No, ma'am.
physically it is not possible, and so we don't follow direct democracy. What we follow nowadays is representative democracy. Now, representative democracy means that people, they elect their representatives, they vote in elections, they elect their representatives, and the representatives, they form government on their behalf. All right, and that is what we have in India also. And in for the Lok Sabha elections, every 5 years we have elections for a fresh government. And so the parliament, it comprises of the elected representatives of the people, and they control and guide the parliament. And so we can say that it is people who are directly ruling the government and controlling it, not directly, indirectly ruling and directing the parliament through their representatives. And just like the way people elect their representatives to the Rajya Sabha, people also elect their representatives to the state legislative assemblies. And the power and the functions of the power and functions of the parliament as well as the legislative assembly, they had been clearly given in the constitution. Now the elected person to the parliament, they are called as the MP. What is the full form of MP? Yes, full form of MP. Come on, class.
Madhya Pradesh. Parliament.
Member.
Ma'am, member of parliament.
Yes, member of parliament. And MLA?
Member of Legislature Assembly.
And members of Legislative Assembly.
Okay, members of legislative assembly. Right. Now the parliament, like we started with, it consists of two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and the president is also an important part of the parliament, but he does not sit or participate in any of the discussions. Now Lok Sabha is also known as, which house? Lower house or upper house?
Lower.
Okay, lower house of,
Lower house.
okay, lower house of the parliament. It is also called as, yes, it is also called as, any other right?
Vidhan Parishad.
House of the people. Why is it called House of the People? Yes.
Because it directly consists of the people elected by us.
Yes, because it consists of people who are directly representatives who are directly elected by the people. So that is why it is called as the House of the People. Now Rajya Sabha is also known as the upper house of the parliament, and we have one more name for it. What is it called?
Upper house.
Upper house, I told you. What is the other name? It is called as the Council of States. Heard that before?
No, ma'am.
Alright, so it is also called as the Council of States. Just like Lok Sabha is called House of the People, Rajya Sabha is called as Council of States. Now the Lok Sabha, it consists of members directly elected by the people. Then the term is 5 years. Every 5 years we have fresh elections, and for the purpose the country is divided into constituencies, and from each constituency one person is elected. Now the candidates which contest elections, they belong to various political parties, sometimes independent candidates, they also contest elections. And now the Lok Sabha has 545 members, but at present we have 543 only, and the total strength, it could be 550, but at present we have 543 members in our Lok Sabha, and so the whole country is divided into constituencies, and then people are elected from that. Now, if the president he feels that the members belonging to the Anglo-Indian community, they are not represented well in the Lok Sabha elections, so he can appoint or nominate two people from the Anglo-Indian community to the Lok Sabha. Now, in contrast, the Raj Sabha, it consists of 245 members, and out of it, 12 people are nominated by the president from people among, now it could be from various fields, people who have distinguished themselves or are famous, distinguished themselves in any field. It could be medicine, entertainment, sports, it could be anything, and so the president he has the power to nominate 12 members to the Rajya Sabha. Now, the term of Rajya Sabha is how many years?
6 years.
6 years, right? No, the term of Lok Sabha is 5 years, term of Rajya Sabha is 6 years. Now, Lok Sabha is called as a temporary body, whereas Rajya Sabha is called as a permanent body. Now, why is Lok Sabha called temporary body? Because every 5 years fresh elections are constituted, and the earlier government it is completely dissolved. But in Rajya Sabha this never happens, because every 2 years 1/3 of its member retire. That means 2/3 always remain in office, and so fresh elections are constituted for only that 1/3 of the members, and so it is never completely dissolved, so it is called as a permanent body. Alright, understood that much?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, and why is it called as Council of States? Because we have people from different states represented in the Rajya Sabha, and they are there for the welfare of their state, and they talk about their state. So that is why it is called as the Council of States, because people from the different state legislative assemblies, they elect people and they send it to the Rajya Sabha, and that is why it is called as the Council of the States. Okay, so we will end the class here. Is there any confusion, anything you want to ask related to what we have done today?
No, ma'am.
Is everything
No,
clear
ma'am, but about
about?
half yearly exams,
Yes, beta. What do you want to know?
ma'am, of how much marks it will be, on which platform it will be conducted, and then
Beta, right now, what I could tell you is that it will be of 50 marks, and it will be both objective as well as subjective.
yeah.
Alright, so what it means is that you have to, Bakar, switch off your mic. Sorry, Wahib, switch off your mic. Okay, now what that means is that it will be conducted basically on, just like you used to have your half yearlies earlier on, so it will be just like that, and it will not be on Google Forms. Now what that means is you need to prepare everything. This time you need to prepare everything. It won't be like Google Forms, so you will not have just multiple choice questions or one word answers. You have to prepare all the chapters just like the way you used to do for your half yearlies and finals. Is that understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, now the rest of the information, it will be provided to you very soon. You don't worry, you simply start preparing.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, alright, so okay, that would be all for today. God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am.